popular demand, we are going to provide you with a bit of an explanation as to the data sources, tools and information that we use when we are consulting with a client. So, the mobile version of our site, primecappayments.com, if you have the data center saved in a favorite, the home page for the data center will show you actually immediately the sterling euro rate of exchange. So this tab along the top, literally just representations of the current market rates, the current wholesale rates, interbank rates for a couple of key currency pairs. It's worth noting the rates here, so this 131.29, the 112.16, those are without any margin applied. So they don't take into account the cost or the markup that we as an institution or your bank actually, or indeed a bureau de change if we're doing cash, don't take into account that markup. This is an average of the wholesale rate of exchange for but between sterling and euro. And as you can see from this morning's open of the session, it's up 0.04%. We have specifically included tabs across the screen to take you directly to various elements of the page that we think you might find useful. One of the most interesting things about a foreign currency broker is the access that we have to different contracts for customers. So, yeah, on the face of it, very vanilla, very sort of bog standard. You are sending a payment to someone overseas. What type of contract, what type of arrangement are you going to be able to strike with your bank to do this, or with us? And there are three different types of contract: the on-the-spot contract, the same-day contract, and the forward contract. And throughout our site, we have tried to splice in little bits of information with regards to some of the terms we use: deliverable, interbank, various other elements. In terms of the toolbar itself, there are a couple of key ones that are particularly key features of this site that are particularly useful to us as currency brokers, and hopefully going to be useful to you so that you don't necessarily have to speak with us. When we come up with, when we are preparing to broadcast the PrimeCap Daily, which goes out on our YouTube channel, we look at things like economic data. So although not all data is going to move rates of exchange, talking points for our clients revolve around things like sentiment. So you can see here that, well, what time is it now actually? As we speak to you, it is 12:30. 10 o'clock this morning, a whole raft of economic sentiment came out relating to the EU economy. So confidence with regards to business climate, services sentiment, so on and so forth. And as you can see here, it's pretty much on trend. So the actual, what was released to the market, the forecasted, and prior. Services sentiment is actually up. So it would suppose that those surveyed across the European Union are a little bit more confident than they were. Industrial sentiment, not so. So you can see the sort of macro, the broader themes that affect certain geographical regions. We bring these up in the PrimeCap Daily because they're really good talking points. They might not have been things that you had thought about, and there will be certain outcomes from positive or negative, lukewarm or underperforming information released to the market. In terms of commentary and looking back over what rates have been doing, it's a bit like stocks. You can't really extrapolate where a currency is going to go and how it's going to behave from its previous activity. So it's not indicative of future performance, in inverted commas, what the currency has done up to this point. You can see from these graphs that sterling at the moment is weak. Therefore, anyone holding euros is doing well to sell now. We can't tell our client when the pound is going to hit a peak. So we can't tell him if it's going to fall back and whether or not it's the optimum time. But what we can do is say, hey, this morning the rate was at 114. It's now at 112. That 2 cent means you get X number of pounds more than you did a few hours ago. We ask our client then to choose whether or not that improvement is sufficiently appealing, or whether or not he wants to risk that couple of £1,000 or a couple of hundreds of thousands of pounds, whether he wants to risk that more than he does to realise it. Because if you don't sell currency now, well, we don't mean to sound too imperative, but if you hold off on selling currency, then you're risking whether or not you can sell it at that price a few moments from now. We have a number of currency pairs represented and sterling, Singapore dollar is an interesting one for salaries. We have a lot of property investors with one of our partners, RAF Estates, bringing in Arab dirham and indeed US dollar. South African rand, sending sterling out to South African rand. Hopefully it'll become easier to repatriate rand from South Africa itself directly. And then the more what we call the exotic currencies, so slightly rarer. They're not traded for their own properties per se, and they are commodity driven for the most part, because again, you remember that something like Australian dollar, particularly driven by the mining sector, minerals, etc. These are all available to you for you to look at on the PrimeCap Data Center. Again, we're threading through information relevant to, well, what we like to think is relevant to choices to be made by our clients' key headlines. But this is also, we consider it to be a resource for our partners looking for, here we go, a closer look. Buying a property. This is one of the key transaction areas that we address. PrimeCap, the name actually relates quite simply to prime capital, play on words, capital being London, but also incoming capital coming to the prime postcodes of London. We were first incorporated, as this is about to tell you as I click the button, we were first incorporated as a private client broker servicing the property sector, those who are buying and selling properties, and increasingly we became, we were asked to sort of act in exchange for corporate clients, businesses that are taking stakes and investing in UK property. So we broadened our horizon a touch. But here you will see all manner of different information and copy relating to property. We invite you to give us a call if you would like any more information. How to use these tools? What do they actually mean? Does it even matter? Our brokers are here so that we can look at this for you, rather than you having to stress about what it means and what the rates of exchange, how they're playing out, whether it means you're earning more or less. At any time, you can arrange to speak with one of our brokers. Again, you don't have to do it on spec. You can give us a call. Alternatively, you can literally book through our Calendly app here. So this will set an invitation for both our broker and indeed for you, just to talk it through, so that you can input that information and walk away, and then we will ring you at the appropriate time. That is us wrapping up this tutorial. Any information, we invite you to get in touch.